So if I have a difficult relationship with my parents because they disagree with my decision, for example, my decision of being with the person I love, how does working with you look like, Claudia? So today I want to share a little bit about the journey of how it looks like to go into doing this work. Now, the difficulty with doing this, getting into this work, is because there is so much volatility with the relationship between your parents and with your partner. For example, like if we use an example of you having a partner and your parents don't agree with your partner, because the time span can be a few years. It's not just like a day you deal with it and then it's done. Usually the time span when you are in a relationship with someone and until you get married, that could be a few years. And dealing with the parents can be very devastating. One, first and foremost, it can be very scary and it can carry a lot of guilt. And then also with you being with your partner, sometimes we don't really know if this person is the one that we really want. Because, like, when we're first being together, you could see all the good things about them, but you haven't really gotten to know this person. So, maybe at some point, you may be like, this person may not really be for me. But because if, let's say, you are fighting with your parents, then you're only clinging onto them even stronger and refusing to see what is some of the red flags, per se, to know, hey, I don't want to be with this person, but because I'm trying to fight my mom and prove my point, then you're hanging on this other person to kind of like prove a point. And so in this way, it can be a little bit tricky in this sense. How does working with me look like? First of all, when let's say you've decided to work with me, one of the things that I do a lot with people is find out how certain they are that they love this person, that they are the one. And teaching them to trust themselves. Get the parents' voice away, but to get them to trust themselves, is this person really for me? And during the few sessions that I work with them, we could be working together for a few months, but it could extend past beyond the time frame that I work with them. So I build that trust within themselves so that they know, okay, I may be fighting with my mom, and at the same time, my partner is giving me some hints as to maybe this is not the person for me. So I instill that trust so that they can tell themselves, hey, something is wrong, and they're listening to themselves. So this is the first thing I do. I instill that trust and certainty within themselves. That's one of the steps. And then the other step that I do deal with them is their relationship with their parents. Because what happens is when we are in this relationship with our parents, there's sometimes a lot of fear of them blowing up on us. There's a lot of guilt that they think that we're not the best kid. And then there's also a lot of pain, the resentment of like, how come I cannot do what I want? So I help them process these emotions. And then once that is done, then I instill that trust again within themselves to, and even confidence to talk back to their parents, to speak up for themselves, have a conversation with their parents. And sometimes what I even do is like say, pretend I'm your mom. If you want to say something to me, what would you say? Things like that. So I will have them practice the conversation, write out what it is that they want, and I'll have them practice. And so they can have something that comes from their heart, be able to say things that they had never been allowed or even have the permission to say to their moms in front of their face. I will allow them to say it to me, because when they are able to say it out loud, have the words come out through their mouths, then they can have a little bit more courage to say it out in front of the mom. And this is the other part that I do. Process the feelings so then they can have the confidence to speak out back to them parents. And I will teach them also tools how to regulate their emotions, because here's the thing, our parents are not going to change. Our partners may not be able to change. So we have to know that no matter what they do, we have to process our emotions so that we know what our next step is for ourselves. And that is to bring that power back within ourselves to say, hey, if you're going to continue being that way, then thank you, and this is what I'm going to do. And so it's a lot of bringing that certainty, self trust, self confidence back into themselves so they can discern what is the best for them, logically look at the situation between them and their partners and them with their parents. And so this is how it looks like working with me. Now, it may take, if someone who is very certain about themselves, it may just take a few months. I sometimes work with them for 3 months. But there are people who had a lot of difficult past experiences where they had decided to keep working with me. And there are clients of mine who have worked with me for a good 3-4 years. And it's just because once they have worked on one thing, like for example, the relationship, then they want to work on something else, like maybe the next step of creating a business or making their own money. So it's like step by step by step. And sometimes they may even go into, oh, I just want to lose some weight. I don't want to emotional eat anymore. And or they may be talking about how they have trouble with their parents and it's affecting their pregnancy. And so it's a lot of various things that I work alongside them, and at the same time I'm just letting them guide me, and I'm using my own intuition to see what is best for them at the moment. And so sometimes I just play with them to say, hey, here is what I propose. Here are a few things. Which one resonates with you the most? And they'll tell me what exactly it is that they need the most. And sometimes between week to week, we may jump between different topics. And then sometimes we may just keep working on one topic at a time. So that is how it looks like working with me. But what I do most is to instill that trust back to them so they can listen to their own voice, listen to their own answers, because I cannot be working with them the rest of my life or the rest of their lives. So they need to be able to stand up for themselves and know what is the best solution for themselves. And that is where I hope all my clients go to, is so that they can trust themselves enough to stand on their own 2 feet so that they can walk this path by themselves. And of course, like if they need me, they can always come back to me. But that's my goal of working with my clients. And so I just wanted to share this with you, because a lot of times people are like, well, I don't really know what it looks like working with you. And it kind of sounds foo-foo when I say I give them back like their own wisdom. They're like, what does that mean? But that's exactly what it means, because a lot of times we cannot predict what's going to happen in the future. But I need them to know that whatever happens, they can trust themselves to solve the problem. They can trust themselves to take care of their own emotions. They can trust themselves for finding their own answers. And so that's what I do with them. So I hope it helps. And if you have any questions regarding whatever's happening in your life, just send me a message, or you can book a time with me so we can have a chat. And I usually work with clients. I always say patients because I work at a hospital environment, but I work with clients who are ready to do this work, because I need them to be in a mindset space where they're ready to move on to the next step. And whenever you're ready, book a time with me. that's all I have for today. Until next time.